What up, America? What's going on? Got a lot of what ups. What's going on, everybody? How y'all doing out there? It's your boy Rod. It's your boy Don. We back in the building. It's the Brooklyn Bears Ball Sports Show. We are excited. We're full of joy. We're full of excitement. We getting ready for the Super Bowl. And so is my man Big D. Getting ready to talk some Super Bowl. But unfortunately, we're not in it. But listen, before we get into my boy Don and his feelings and what's going on in his heart, because he's just such a nice 49er guy, we want y'all to do us a favor. We need y'all to like. We need you to subscribe. We need you to comment to this video. Facebook, YouTube. We need y'all in the building. We appreciate all the love and support y'all been giving our show, and we need you to continue to do that because we're about to talk about these championship games that just transpired. Some crazy games, some crazy stuff went down, and I'll explain why I'm wearing a 49er hat, you know, when I give you a little more insight on my take. But nevertheless, you can see right there, it's my boy Don from Brooklyn. Don, how you doing, my brother?
Doing well, man. I'm happy to be alive. Listen, I am happy to be here today to discuss the conference championship games.
Yeah.
Listen, some highs, some lows, a lot of lows. As predicted, there was going to be a blowout. There weren't going to be two close games.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, there was
Yeah.
there was a blowout, and
Yes.
the 49ers were part of that. So let's get into it, man. Without further ado, let's go. Conference championship. There were 4 teams, and then now there are 2. Let's quickly discuss such a. I'll say this. Ultimately, it is my feeling today is a feeling of utter disappointment. I feel like we were unfulfilled, if you will. It's like going to. It's hard to describe how I feel. I know people always say that you want to leave it all on the table, and you want to live your life not feeling like there were opportunities that you didn't capitalize. You didn't seize the moment, right? And I feel in this situation with San Francisco 49ers, Philadelphia Eagles hosting the San Francisco 49ers in the NFC Championship game, we just hit a bad break. And it just spiraled out of control. Ultimately, I'll say this. Our team, without a quarterback, there is nothing you can do. And if your quarterback, then now you can have quarterbacks that lack mobility, right? There are quarterbacks that have been successful and have just been pretty much what we call a statue in the pocket. They're able just to move around, but arguably one of the best quarterbacks to ever play the game has very little to no mobility. Tom Brady, as an example. But you still need to have the use of your arms. And I think it was just a play where they got a perfect shot on Brock Purdy. Very similar to what Josh Allen, that happened to Josh Allen when he played the Jets, that UCL. We find out that Brock Purdy has a complete UCL tear, which will require surgery. I know they're getting a second opinion. It will require surgery, and the recovery time is about 6 months. Now, Trey Lance is probably like, whew, that's a relief, because I started looking for, I was looking to put my house on the market. So I think he will be, he's secure at this point. With a 6-month recovery time for Brock Purdy, he's probably going to fall back into that, backup role, unless there is a quarterback competition. And at that point, it could be anyone's game. Let's talk to the matter at hand. Our defense played as well as advertised. I will say this: our defense played as well as advertised. Jalen Hurts had he didn't have to have a great game, but he didn't have a great game. He had an okay on par game. He, for the most part, managed the Eagles. Put up 121 passing yards, 151, something like that. The run game was effective, and that was due to the fact that our team, through injuries, were just one-dimensional. And a one-dimensional team, as we've discussed before, we talked about injuries being the great equalizer. We talked about a one-dimensional team is very easy to beat, and that was the case. As we thought, as was explained when the Cowboys beat Tom Brady, and he was a one-dimensional team, had no run game. As we've seen it with the Bills, a one-dimensional team, no run game. You have to have dimensions to your game. Your team cannot be one-dimensional and expect to win. It doesn't matter about skill players. And this is not a new concept. I've been saying this the entire season. If you're not able to get the ball to your skill players, it doesn't matter how great they are. If you can't get the ball to them, they're useless. And without a quarterback, his arm is almost tore out the socket, and all he can do is hand the ball over. It doesn't matter if you have Debo. It doesn't matter if Jerry Rice decided to play. It doesn't matter who. Kittle. Shout out to CMC. He played well. But once a team understands that all you're going to do is run the ball, that's it. The game was a wrap. It seemed like watching them, it was looking at, I use an analogy of somebody that is outmanned and is getting jumped, and there is no regard or any possibility for them to win. It was like watching, a lion deal with a whole pride of hyenas. It was like, just turn it off. It's over. This game is over. Josh Johnson, they might as well have put Jack Johnson out there. Josh Johnson. Let me just say this. And it wasn't all on him, but Josh Johnson, there is a reason why he's been on 14 teams. Now, shout out to him, because to stay employed, there are a lot of backups who have made their career as just, backup quarterbacks that have a clipboard, that run the scout team. But clearly, I blame, there's a degree that I have to blame the San Francisco 49ers. This is the biggest game of the season, and you have Josh Johnson as your backup quarterback. Now, granted, people can say, well, we shouldn't even be here. We went through all these quarterbacks. You have to come up with a better plan. And then it got to a point where the injuries started to mount. I don't know if Josh Johnson seemed like he threw his head back there. He didn't want to be in it. It was like, just knock me out and let me get out of this game too, because this is over. So I'm like, if you're going to concuss yourself, you're supposed to be the mobility guy. If nothing else, just turn into a mobility quarterback. Nobody is expecting him at this point to drop back and just try to pick people apart. But that was it. He knocked himself out. He just knocked yourself out. He knocked himself out, and that's what, and that was it. That was like one thing you can't do. You can't turn the ball over. And it wasn't like you can't take a simple because the defense, all things being equal, the defense played well. It wasn't like when Brock Purdy became, pretty much a lame duck. The defense was still holding it down. It was the turnovers, short field. The Eagles aren't a slouch. They're not they had the best.
What, running game?
They had no, not the best run game.
What?
They had the best season in a long time. Their record was great all season long.
Number
they
one
had
seed.
some hiccups
Absolutely.
along the way when, Jalen Hurts couldn't play, but they weren't slouches. So nobody is no team. It doesn't matter if it's a huge disparity in talent. No team with a short, getting short fields because once the defense plays so hard and then you turn the ball over and then they have to come out, just like anything else, they get worn down. The defense gets worn down. Frustration starts to mound. Mm-hmm. And then all of a sudden, if anything, they're going to at least cash in for field goals. But in this case, they were cashing in for touchdowns. They were running the ball effectively. And I think overall, it's just disappointing because of the potential of what we could have done. And I had mentioned this before. If our team stays whole and there's no injuries, I like our chances. And I still, to this day, after being defeated and only putting up 7 points, I would have liked our chances against any team we played in the AFC. And I liked it against the Eagles. But that's not the case. We got beat. I'm just telling you the facts. I'm not creating an excuse. Shout out to all the Eagle fans. Shout out to Scrap. Me and him talk offline. We were trash talking. And yeah, listen, the better team won. Ultimately, the better team won. But that's what it's about. You have to be honest. You have to be able to give a true critique. And part of it falls on Kyle Shanahan, falls on the 49ers organization for not being properly prepared. You had Jack Johnson. I'm gonna call him Jack Johnson because he's not. If he's boxing 18 rounds, right, then you can't have him from week 12 on. You didn't bring anybody else. Like, you didn't say, hey, let's. And then I'll just say this, and then I'll pass it to you. When it came time, and you knew that Brock Purdy couldn't throw the ball, and Jack Johnson concussed himself, he said he knocked himself out of the game. Why would you then go to McCaffrey when you understand they're starting to try to give him a new helmet and all this other stuff and use check? Why would you do that when you have Juwan Johnson, who he was a quarterback in high school, right? And everyone's like, well, high school and this the pros. He was highly regarded, highly touted, more than Joe Burrow and more than the quarterback at the quarterback that came out of USC. He played for the Jets. He was a
not Matt Leinart. For USC. Oh, you talking about? He played for us.
Panthers.
The butt fumble guy.
No. Not Sanchez. He played. He's out of USC. He played for the Jets. And Sam Darnold.
Oh,
Juwan Johnson was a higher recruit for quarterback position before Joe Burrow. Is he a good quarterback? Obviously, they've developed because that's what they continued with that. But what I'm saying is, if he has the knowledge he has the ability. It's not a fish out of water. You're not. The learning curve would be a lot smaller for someone who was a quarterback for a said time. And I don't know if he was a quarterback. I believe he might have been a quarterback in college too, but ultimately then converted to a wide receiver. But why wouldn't you have measures in place? This season should have already told you that there are vulnerable positions that we have to protect so that we can. This is a win or go home game, so we can't afford to lose because we don't have a quarterback.
Right.
Running back, okay, we have that in place. Wide receiver, come and go. We'll next man up. But the quarterback position is too important to leave it to Jack Johnson. And yo, listen. He was on 75 teams to include Sacramento Mountain Lions. Are you serious? And you're going to put the season in his hands? And the thing that what you would think that he would be able to be at least comfortable with?
Yeah.
Just get the ball and start running. You could be a Taysom Hill. You could have just did a complete Taysom Hill game, and it would have at least been more competitive. Yeah. But you look like a fish out of water. You cannot handle a simple snap.
Yeah.
It was such a frustrating thing because the potential, what we could have been, was right there. And it's like, it's unfortunate. We lost badly, and it was a blowout this weekend, and the 49ers were on the losing end. And listen, we can talk about, obviously there's things that we need to do as far as re-signing, and we're in a good position based on our quarterbacks to come. I don't think our window is closed, obviously. But anytime you get there, and you get so close, you want the confetti. You want the celebration, and people will say, well, it was a great season because you really wasn't supposed to be there based on injuries. But preparation, I tell my kids this: the better you prepare for things, the less stress there is, right? And we didn't prepare. That was a huge flaw in our plan, our game plan. We had, okay, we're gonna try to stop Jalen Hurts, and we're gonna try to stop Devontae Smith, and we're gonna stop AJ Brown, and we did those things. But then you leave the most important position, arguably, to something that you can't afford. I mean, we just couldn't afford to have Josh Johnson as the quarterback trying to lead us once Brock Purdy got hurt. What do you say?
Well, my friend D, wow, no, you that was great. You gave I thought some very pertinent points and some insight to what we saw on Sunday. Just Americans, so you know, I'm wearing a San Francisco 49er hat. Don and I made a bet, if you recall, a couple shows back about our picks. I lost that bet regarding some of our earlier playoff picks, and so I had to wear a 49er hat. This bet should have been fulfilled probably about 2 weeks ago, but finally I got a hat. Don accuses me of waiting until the 49ers would be eliminated to wear the hat, and so I could see how the timing would work on that. All of a sudden I was able to find a 49er hat, you know. But I'm wearing this hat, America, because I have to say something, and I was sharing with Don in pregame that I'm wearing this hat in solidarity to Don. That, you know, I hate the 49ers, as y'all know. I'm a Dallas Cowboy fan, and if you're a Cowboy fan, you hate everybody in the NFC East. You hate the 49ers, you hate the Steelers. The 49ers I hate since I was 10 years old on the couch with my dad watching the 1981 NFC Championship game and the catch, which just scarred me. Still could have won that game. Danny White was on the drive there, and I believe with the fumble there, we was going to score. We definitely going to at least get in field goal range. We was on the move in that game, but nevertheless we lose. But it was just those things that scarred me. Wearing this hat even still kind of bothers me a little bit. Some withdrawal symptoms I'm having a bit, but because I love Don. Don is my buddy, he's my friend. I stand in solidarity with Don because, America, I want to say this to you. That was a bad game. And if I'm Don, and I've said this to Don, if that was my Cowboys, there's no way that I am not going to stand on what we all saw. There was no way in the world would the 49ers have had any chance in that game without a quarterback. There's no way you could even play the game without a quarterback. Look, Dallas, you know, got to a point where last week against the 49ers, we had to make some decisions, right? Whether we go for it on fourth down or bring in Maher to kick. Maher, we know, has out of nowhere, after having what was considered to be a Pro Bowl season, just, I don't know, had the yips, couldn't kick from a foot away from the goalpost, okay? Couldn't help. Then we lost Tony Pollard in that game. Couldn't run. Dallas, went completely away from the run because running Zeke Elliott is not running the ball, right? So that didn't make any sense. So we were one-dimensional. There are some handicaps, and Donald eloquently explained it, you know, how you can get over, right? Some losing some receivers. I know we're going to talk about Mahomes, and we're going to talk about the Cincinnati game, and Mahomes had 3 top receivers out, okay? He was throwing to me and Don out there for all intents and purposes, along with MVS. That was it. And yet, right, but you overcome. Next man up. Running backs, right? You carry a few more of those guys on your roster. You got some protection. And even if you get one-dimensional, right, you want to be one-dimensional at least in the passing game. If there's anything that you're going to be handicapped in, at least let it be the passing game, right? You stand a better chance, right, as opposed to running the ball. Because we see that in general. You can have running backs and they still can't run the ball, right? So it's okay. There's ways to get around that. But when you don't have a quarterback to functionally throw a football, that's a bad thing. What we saw on Sunday, I believe, unfortunately, no freak accident, nothing dirty on the 49ers. On the Eagles. There was nothing malicious. How they got hurt was typical football, right? So with Purdy getting hurt, Josh getting hurt, although John said he concussed himself. But, at the end of the day, all right, Jack Johnson gets concussed. And so, right, and it's part of the game. And you knew he was gone. He probably felt well, right? But with everything going on in the way the league is sensitive, then he had injuries, he's gone. And when I looked at this game, and it became more and more noticeable that there's nothing they can do, right? Because you saw it when Purdy would come back in. After Johnson least went out, you said, okay, maybe he's going to try to, stretch it out. Maybe he's going to get a couple throws in. It's going to hurt. He's going to play in some pain, but he's going to be able to gut this out. But clearly, and based on the reports that we learned today of his injury, this man was not able to throw the ball at all. I think it hurt even to get the little screen passes that he even threw to McCaffrey that we saw in a couple of plays. When a game is incapacitated to that degree, you're not talking about teams, matchups, schematics, skill. You're talking now about a major handicap function. It's almost like playing football without a football. You can't do anything. I told Don in the pre-production, that as far as I'm concerned, you almost had to forfeit that game. It's like a baseball player trying to hit without a bat, or trying to catch almost a line drive without a glove, or a golfer trying to play without his clubs, or a tennis player playing without a racket. Like you can't play. You have no one to throw the football. And so once that happened, obviously the Eagles at that point, they already had the game. They were selling. Once they realized, okay, he can't throw, they literally have no quarterback. And Kittles, you heard him at the post game, we played a game without no quarterback. So how should feel? And he throws a couple of expletives out there, right? Rightfully so. To me, like Don, I will agree. Number one, you have a valid reason. If you're a 49er fan today, if I'm you, and I don't know what's in the water, whatever I'm drinking here, but you have every right to still hold your head up high. You have every right to action. And this is what I would tell you. As a 49er fan, you have a right to actually say the Eagles didn't beat us. Honestly, I'm dead serious. Now, Don, my good friend, who's way more mature in his fandom than I am, okay? I'm a pout, I'm a cry, I'm a scratch, I'm a moan, and I'm a complain. But I'm going to tell you something. If you're a 49er fan, and this is how I would feel if that was Dallas, you did not beat us. We were at a disadvantage. Yes, our guys got hurt. Our quarterbacks got hurt. Part of the game. And I get it. But an NFC championship game, everybody wants to see the best players on the field. Yes, guys can go down, but at least, right? Mahomes is Mahomes. You still had a quarterback. If anybody can overcome that level of deficit, it's going to be Mahomes. You can't do that if you don't have a quarterback. Jalen Hurts did not play well, as you stated, Don, right? Their offense, after that first drive, they really didn't do a whole lot, okay, until it really became more noticeable that y'all had no chance of moving the ball. They didn't beat your offense, which Purdy had. I think he completed like 3 to 5 of his passes already. So he completed 100% of his passes before he got hurt. Now, you can make the argument that pass rush was coming, and I don't know. It would have been a long day for Purdy in that backfield, no question about it, because them boys was coming, all right? No question about it. Reddick and them boys was bringing the heat. But at the end of the day, it's hard to say that game was just unequivocally won by the Eagles. You don't have a quarterback. And I agree with you, Don. Kyle could have done something during the end part of the season, got a better quarterback in there just in case. You see how your quarterbacks are dropping like flies. It seems to be almost a consistent theme to some degree. And the Niners, y'all might need to look at your training staff, because guys is just getting hurt a lot. You might need to look at your training staff and see what they're doing. I might fire that whole staff and get a whole new crew in, because why my guys can't stay healthy? You know what I'm saying? But I would say that this would be my last take on this, is that game was bad for the fans. It was bad for the NFL. It was bad for the teams that played the game. And again, the Eagles won. They move on. We get it. But I'm going to tell you something. To not have a viable function, a very critical piece to any level of success for a football team, not to be able to have that available to you in the game, that's a bad thing. It's the most unfortunate thing you could ever see a team go through. I literally almost felt bad for the 49ers, because now I'm watching this game like, dang, now we're not going to really get a game. And I picked the Niners to win the game. I felt the Niners were the better team. As Tom Brady often says, it's not about the best team going in the game. It's about the best team on that day. And I don't think we would have known who was the better team on that day. Okay? I don't know. And so without a quarterback, with Purdy getting hurt, Johnson getting hurt, and I want to say this, Johnson did make one good throw over, it was like an up and cross route there to Kittles there. I thought he threw a nice little pass there. I think at some point, bad fumble on him. But at least we know he can throw the football, right? He threw some bad passes. The guy is bad. No question about it. He is bad. He's bad. But I think that maybe you could have probably almost banked that he gets settled in a little bit more. I think the lights are really bright. I don't think he even expected to play. Don't know how many reps he got. But I think at some point, the weapons around him would have gotten him settled in. Then Kyle would have been able to call some plays that would have played more to his strength. And then at some point, we would have had at least more of a competitive game. I don't think y'all would have won that game with Johnson, no question. But it would have been at least a little bit more competitive, and you'd have been able to keep the Eagles on their heels just a little bit, because he can run the ball and he can do some things. But once he went down, Purdy clearly could not throw. So he was out there just really as a figurehead, just to be in a quarterback underneath center. That's it. That's all you had. So, Don, I say to you, my friend, but I know you're not going to do this because you're not petulant and childish like I am. I will go around and tell everybody that the Eagles did not beat me. They won. They're in the Super Bowl, but they did not beat us. That's what I would say. That's just me. You're not going to do it, Don. But you know what, D? I'll do it for you here on our show, okay? 49er fans, the Eagles did not win. They did not beat you, okay? And here's what's going to happen. I guarantee you, somehow, some way, based on the schedule, that game is going to get on the schedule next year. And you're going to see that game played next year between the Eagles and 49ers, because usually they're going to play those championship games. But I don't know who y'all got next in the NFC as far as what divisions coming in. But somehow you're going to play that team. And you're going to see them, because America wants to see that team at full strength, whether it be Purdy or some other quarterback of stature that Kyle will bring in that can play that game. But if I'm you, Don, you have every right, as far as I'm concerned, to say that the Eagles did not beat you. So
I appreciate that, but you know what? At the end of the day, teams benefit from sometimes. We'll say this, and I'll say sometimes the best team doesn't always win, right? And injuries are part of the game, right?
Part of the game.
So
sure it is.
I can't
understand.
I can't give I can't not take. I don't want to take away credit from. But from the Eagles. I'll say this. Do I think if we were fully healthy, we would win? Absolutely. And I called the score 28-17. I thought that we would have, and if you look at it pre-injury, our defense was doing exactly what it was. You know, CMC was running the ball well.
Yeah,
exactly. So,
which I had some penalties too that hurt y'all.
We had some penalties.
Yeah,
but when you think about it, and maybe it's because they didn't have to. Arguably, the Philly fans can say we didn't have to. But AJ Brown and Devontae Smith, not a catch, right?
Not a catch.
They and of course, because it was mentioned that it was some home cooking, they didn't even show the angle on the jumbotron that showed that ball. But would have been and something that I saw was the indicator to me, and I'm just watching on my couch. When Devontae gets up and he starts doing this, and anytime a person rushes to it, then why wouldn't you call a timeout? Why wouldn't you revisit that?
I'm gonna tell you who I blame for that though. Hufunga. He was right there, right on that spot where you can clearly see the ball coming out of Devontae's hand when he hit the ground. He was right there. Now, I don't know if he was looking at that or maybe his eyes were somewhere else, but he was standing right there. If anybody should have seen that he lost the ball, because you can see it as clear as day on the replay. He's standing right. You look at that replay, you can go back and look at it. He's right there looking at them. So somewhere in there, you had to be able to say, no, listen, that's incomplete. Yo, run the whatever. Throw the challenge. Most coaches are not going to throw a challenge flag that early, right? But so I can understand trepidation from Kyle Shanahan if he didn't want to do that. But he has to do that because in the home stadiums, D, and we did it when we went to see you guys with Miami. Anything Miami did, they did not show. If it was a bad play, potentially against the night. Of course. And they do it in Dallas too. Oh, that's what they all do. They're not going to give. But, so the guys up in the booth, they got to wait for the telecast, perhaps, to wait for them to play. The TV crew didn't even have a chance to even replay that before they got to the line. So that should have definitely showed you something. Like you say, he come up there quick to the line, throwing all these little signals and stuff. That should have definitely let you know. But D, injuries are part of the game. But D, I think you got to give a little more latitude when we talk about injuries and give definition to that. That was more than an injury, D. Injury is what the Chiefs went through, right? Injury is what Dallas went through with Pollard. Not where you lose all of your quarterbacks, where you're down to a straight, yo, anybody out there can throw at least 20 yards if you're a 49er fan? Like, when it gets to that, D, you're beyond injury. You're beyond a game that cannot no longer be played. There is no way there's any competitiveness to the game. It's gone. It's lost. There's nothing to play for now. And the 49ers, and you know what's so sad? They're sitting on that sideline now when it comes, because they knew that Purdy couldn't throw. He already told Kyle, I can't throw. So Josh is getting his head checked. I can't throw, coach. All right, go out there, just hit, run his plays, run the ball. Debo, CMC, do what you can do. Hopefully you can break a tackle or two. That's it. Didn't matter. They put all 25 to 45-man roster in the box. So there was nothing that the 49ers could do. Once the competitiveness of the game is gone, it's different when you lose an injury to a star player. I understand that, okay, that does change the dynamics of the game. I get it. But not when you literally can't almost even play the game anymore, D. The game had no competitiveness at all after that point when it was known that Purdy's not going to throw. I literally was like, okay, maybe he's going to think it out. He's going to work this out. He get the ball. It's going to hurt him. Shoulder, whatever. I mean, his elbow. But, he'll try to make a throw or something. Maybe he get picked off, maybe whatever. But at least he's going to make an attempt. He couldn't even attempt to throw the ball. It's one thing if he was able to at least throw the ball, and if maybe didn't have enough arm under it, can't get enough under the ball, maybe perhaps or whatever, but at least he could get the ball. He can't even literally throw the football, Don. There was nothing he can do. So the game is over. Nothing. So it's not even injury. As you often said all year long on our show, what's the great equalizer? Injuries, right?
Yep.
Nothing. The Eagles could have had guys gone down. But if they lose all of their quarterbacks, I mean, when do you see that happen? All the quarterbacks go down. Right? And you're not carrying a lot of quarterbacks because you need other roster spots. So you're not carrying. You figure, okay, I have this guy, but you make a valid point. Johnson definitely should not have been on. You could have found anybody other than that guy. Definitely. You know what I'm saying? You could have found, because you weren't going to win with him, even if he settled down, to my point, and got a little bit more controlled. And then Shanahan could have start to figure out, okay, let's kind of work these plays in for him and see what we can get out of that. Maybe he can get on a couple, or maybe he can get a little drive going or something like that. But that wasn't going to happen because that guy just was, the passes over the middle, he couldn't throw, throwing ground balls. He was bad. He was really, I don't even know how that guy's even in the NFL, to be quite honest with you, but nevertheless. But
maybe he's just a nice guy. Maybe he has a great personality. Because what other reason? Team, right? Maybe he can run a scout team, and maybe he's mobile enough that he can kind of simulate some of the dual threat quarterbacks. But none of that was on display Sunday. None of it. Zero.
None of it.
But once again, gracious in victory and defeat. Shout out to the Eagles. I'll say this. If I thought that our team was done and this was our only shot in the world, then I would be a little more down. But the fact is I think we'll have other opportunities. I think our team, we have enough people still under contract. We're not going to lose. Obviously the priority is to sign Bosa, but I think everyone else is at least under contract into 25, some 26, 27. So we'll be able to, and now let that be a lesson. Hopefully that's a lesson to the 49ers, that when it gets down to crunch time, and it's regular season is one thing, but when it gets down to crunch time, maybe you have a practice squad quarterback. Maybe you have somebody that you just keep in mind. Hopefully we don't have this issue and our quarterbacks are dropping like flies. But in this situation, I think just a little bit more preparation, a little bit more thinking outside the box, especially the fact that you have dealt with that all season long. So it wasn't like we lost 3 quarterbacks in one game. You had been dealing with that for the whole season. So that's your sensitivity to that should have been heightened. Hey, quarterback is an important position. we are winning in spite of having, these injuries to the quarterback, which speaks to the offense, which speaks to, our skill players, our team as a whole. But that and another thing, unfortunately for us, it's clear DeMeco is gone. DeMeco is out of here.
Yeah,
and so do I think we'll have someone else that, and I don't know who they are projecting to be the next defensive coordinator. Am I concerned that all of a sudden the defense is going to drop off? Absolutely not, because we have the personnel. If you have the players play the game. And I'm sure someone that is an assistant, defensive coordinator can step in and kind of continue it, because it's a certain mentality, it's a certain type of defense that we play, and that we play at a high level. Because there was no drop off from Robert Saleh, right? He went on to become a head coach.
No.
And
No.
DeMeco came in. The only thing I did not like, obviously I would have wanted us to be successful and win with him being the defensive coordinator.
Right.
The only problem I have in that whole thing, because I'm happy for him, I'm happy for his potential elevation, I would not want him to go to the Texans. And that's the only thing. And it looks like that is his team of choice. Maybe because there's no sales tax. I don't know what it is. Why wouldn't you want to go to Denver? Denver's expensive, but you have ownership that has a lot of money. You have a defense that's already in place that plays at a high level. You have a veteran quarterback. You have skill positions. I don't understand why you wouldn't want that, but nonetheless, it seems like the Texans is his choice, and they're talking as early as Tuesday or Wednesday, he could be named as the head coach of the, Texans. And shout out to him. Thank him for everything that he did for our team. But we'll have somebody in place. I think we'll do just fine. I mean, we have lost. We're getting picks back for him. All of that good stuff. We're going to get picks in, picks because we contributed to a minority hiring. The general manager of Tennessee, we left. He's now a general manager of Tennessee, African American. So we're getting picks back for that. So we're going to be able to fill in and try, hopefully take one of them picks and get a quarterback pick 3,000. But we need another quarterback that can be groomed and can be in the system if they're cheap. I mean, it was just unfortunate. We were just completely decimated by injuries. But I'm now my co-host is saying this, and I didn't prompt him. I didn't offline be like, yo, come on, man, defend this. No, we lost.
He didn't do that.
And if the shoe was on the other foot, right? And unfortunately, they had no quarterback. Jalen Hurts, whatever, was injured, and Gardner Minshew came in. And let's just say Gardner Minshew, all he could do was hand the ball off. And we lost. I would say it's unfortunate, but because it's part of the game, it's a violent game. It is what it is. I mean, it is. You can only play who's in front of you. You can only play who's on your schedule. And unfortunately for us, that happened. And listen, I think it's going to be a good Super Bowl. I think it's going to be a good Super Bowl.
Oh, I think it is too. Absolutely.
I think it's going to be a good Super Bowl. If I had to pick, I have to see. I mean, we've been going on and on about this game. We'll go. Okay. Let's go on to the next game, and we'll kind of, I'm okay with how everything turned out.
Well, let me say this, America. I want you to learn from Don. Okay, I think Don is changing the trajectory of fandom in the sports world. He's helping fans to. I think, Don, what you should really do. Here's what you should do. I think you should start a class. You should start a school on fandom, right? How do you navigate your emotions, right? When your team loses, how do you decompress? What processes you need to put yourself through, within the 24-hour period, 48-hour period, immediately after? Like, how do you get in touch with these emotions, and how do you pretend them, and how do you get to move on, right? What are some of the silver linings or the important things you can still look at to get? And I think you do that very well, Don. You know what I mean? Your whole comportment, you're just calm, you're at ease, you're still smiling. Teeth. We get the teeth. Don didn't cheat us on the teeth. Gave us all his teeth today, right? He could have given us no. He could have just mumbled his way through the show, right?
I went through the degrees of grief really quickly. It was just, hey, listen, I'm at acceptance. I was at acceptance at halftime. You know, I was accepting it.
Yeah, I texted you during the game, and I said, D, and I asked him as a friend, as a fan of the game. I said, Don, how are you feeling? You know, and he might have thought I was being sarcastic or, you know, whatever. A little, you know, but I said, Don, how are you feeling? Because once it really became more clear that this wasn't going to go to 49ers way. But Don wrote, he said, unfulfilled. He wrote back, unfulfilled. Right? Who can write such a sane, solid, resolved response like just unfulfilled, right? Not like it sucks, I'm mad, you know, no expletives, nothing like that. See, you know, that's got to see Cowboy fans, you know, we don't do well with that kind of stuff. We're just emotionally distraught. Don said unfulfilled. He used a word, one word, that just was able to put it all in context that had some emotional intelligence to it. And so, Don, listen, I think you really need to start a school on how to teach fans on how to overcome loss. I think it's good, really. I think it's good. Yo, kudos to you, bro, because you way better than me. Way better than me. But nevertheless. But thank you, Don. Appreciate it.
Yeah, all right. Man, I appreciate it. Thank you very much. And let's go on to the AFC championship game.
Okay.
This was a very, very interesting game. You know, Kansas City Chiefs hosting Cincinnati Bengals. This was interesting because Joe Burrow has had, in recent history, success against Mahomes. He's never lost to Mahomes. He won 3 in a row, to include in Kansas City. And I think early on in the season, Joe Mixon, shout out to Joe Mixon. He's from the next town over, from where I live. He was doing a lot of trash talk, a lot of, you know, we're the team to beat in the AFC. You know, of course, Arrowhead was Burrowhead. And as we know, pride comes before the fall, right? Pride comes before destruction. All of the things, nothing good comes out of pride.
Nothing.
And as you can see, ultimately, the teams, you would think because Mahomes was hobbled, he had a high ankle sprain, he was dealing with an injury, that would somehow hamper him. Yeah. Okay, he played well, he could have got shot up, adrenaline, you know, right. the gravity of the game and what was going on propelled him to play at a very high level. You still have Travis Kelce, you still have your receivers, you know, Kadarius Toney, you have MVS, you have I forget the other receiver, and they're all playing well. Juju. Now, wait a minute, everybody is starting to. People are going and limping off to the sideline. It's like, oh, what's going on? So now you're removing this hedge. You have a hedge around you, and now that is being removed. Well, what will you do? You know, as long as this hedge is around you, do you believe that your team will be successful? As long as you have Mahomes, Kelce, and all of these skill players, do you think you'll be successful? Pacheco, Jerick McKinnon, you have, and now slowly but surely, you lose 3 receivers. And it boils down to the fact that when a team has a certain level of comfort, a certain level of knowing what it takes to be successful at the next level, there is a certain resolve that they have. In Kansas City, obviously, we have already said that Mahomes always gives you the opportunity to be in the game just because of sheer knowledge, sheer strength of arm, the ability, the touch. You know, you're never out of the game, regardless of what the score is. You're never out of the game because he's one play away from bringing you back in the game and obviously or winning the game. Right. So the fact that Cincinnati was moving the ball successfully and was playing well. The run game was okay. It wasn't as effective as you thought it would be. But once again, that offensive line, as the level of competition increases, the things that were okay and you could get past, like the offensive line having 3 new offensive line players for Cincinnati, that started to show against a defense that was putting pressure on Burrow. Burrow started looking like last year's Burrow when he was getting sacked. Now, to his credit, he got sacked, I think, 4 times last year and still was able to beat Kansas City. But with the combination of all the talk and all of the, Burrowhead and then the mayor is doing a declaration and doing a paternity test as to if Joe Burrow was your dad. Listen, Patrick Mahomes has a black father, and ain't no way that has to burn. My daddy is home. My daddy is with me. He raised me. Ain't no way you gonna do a proclamation of if Joe Burrow's your daddy. No.
Wow.
See, some things, trash talk can only, you have to draw a line even with trash talk, right? Because at the end of the day, you still have to, you have to match it up. You're gonna have to put your money where your mouth is. You cannot write a check that your behind can't cash. And I think overall they were feeling themselves. They've had success and they do have a bright future. Honestly, they do. Out of the AFC teams, I was more concerned about them than I was Kansas City. But that all being said, clearly the team that has been there, done that, I mean, we can't argue with Kansas City's success. I mean, they've been to 3 Super Bowls. Well, they're going to the Super Bowl now, 3 Super Bowls in 4 years. They've won 5 in a row AFC championship games. I think most of the time, AFC always goes through Arrowhead. So why would we then think that because you have such a body of work with success and you've seen success over and over again that somehow that would change? I think, once again, Cincinnati has a bright future, but right now, you're going to have to, and although you won the AFC championship last year,
right,
you got to beat the king. And right now in the AFC, Mahomes is the king in the AFC. So from that standpoint, I think a lot of the trash talk, they had to prove it. Of course, sometimes people get emotional, right? Trent Williams, he got emotional. He was frustrated. He did something that was ill-advised, slammed him.
Yeah.
That guy, Mahomes had already given himself. Mahomes was out and the game was on the line. That's where situational awareness comes in.
Correct.
And when you lack maturity, or you haven't been there before, or you haven't been there with the regularity that you understand what's at stake, you do stupid stuff like that.
Right.
I saw where one of his teammates was arguing. They were on their way to the locker room after the loss, and he's yelling at his teammate and blasting them. He knows cameras are around. He knows people are watching. But the question was said when Mahomes had that intentional grounding, and not Mahomes, excuse me, when Joe Burrow had the intentional grounding, and when Joe Burrow threw that interception, were you getting at him the same way? So we can't grandstand on our teams. We lose as a team, we win as a team.
Right.
And I think that they will learn from this, because losing leaves a certain, and especially when your expectations are to achieve and get to the ultimate goal, that leaves a lasting effect, and it can either motivate you or cause you to crumble. And I think it'll motivate them because, it's good for the NFL to have a Burrow-Mahomes type of rivalry, right? If you will. It's good to have that because you're going to have the job. You want young quarterbacks that are, pushing each other for greatness. The Josh Allens, the Joe Burrows, the Mahomes, the guy in the Chargers. What's his name?
You talking about your quarterback again?
Yeah, the quarterback in. What is his name?
Oh, for the Chargers. What's his name? Jesus. Donald. Oh my God.
We'll get to it. You know who he's talking about. Justin Herbert. There we go. So you got these young quarterbacks in the AFC, and it's so that's going to be that's really good for the NFL. For years to come. Everybody, I think Mahomes is the oldest, and he's 27 of that group. So the future is bright in quarterback play. So with that being said, I just think Mahomes, the experience, Andy Reid, Eric Bieniemy, who Eric Bieniemy is not going to get a head coaching job. It's crazy that they've had that level of success, and they're talking about another offensive coordinator position.
Wow.
That's what they're talking about. They're not talking, but Kellen Moore, and I'm not saying Kellen Moore is not deserving of it, But
Right.
Kellen Moore has not had the level of success that Eric Bieniemy has.
Nowhere close.
But yet he is highly touted, and he has the ability to pick, choose, and refuse
Right.
what jobs he wants. People are actually, he's there in a bidding war for Kellen Moore.
Right.
That's neither here nor there.
I think I'll say this real quick about Bieniemy. I don't know if there is, because I heard some reports. Don't know how true they are. You know, he's difficult to get along with a little bit. His personality is not the greatest. Then there's also obviously schematically, a lot of people don't give him the credit that he deserves. They say it's more Andy Reid than him. And then the other thing is, you know, does he have the ability to actually run a team? Right? When you're a head coach, that's a whole nother level, right? You're not just now focusing on designing plays and calling plays, which is a huge responsibility in itself. But now you have to overall see the team. And here's the thing, right? If he gets hired, I'm sure owners and GMs are going to want him to call the plays, right? You're not hiring this guy to be, who's been a great OC with Super Bowl success, to also now be the coach and not call the plays. They're going to want him to do that. That's what I'm kind of assuming that would be the case.
Well, Mike
right?
McCarthy wasn't calling the plays. I mean, he may be calling the plays now.
Calling plays, right? Because remember, I mean, after Aaron Rodgers ran him out of town for being just a dumb play caller the last 2 years of his coaching tenure there in Green Bay, you know, he was archaic. And even now, there's reports that he's supposed to be our OC. That hasn't really been confirmed yet, which I don't think I should hope is not the case, because I don't think Mike has a package to put together like that. I don't think he's just in tune with the level of innovation that offenses are calling for now. And then to run the team and then also spend more time in rooms where you gotta put plays together, work with the quarterback. It's a lot of work. And Mike, you know, Mike's lazy. Mike just wants to oversee stuff. He don't want to.
He wants to get massages.
Yeah, he wants massages, right? That's really what and it hasn't changed. So, but getting back to the Cincinnati game. Look, I'm gonna say this to you about this. I have no problem with the trash talk they said. I think Cincinnati backed it up. And I know that sounds crazy, but I think they backed it up. I think, look, this game was not a blowout. They barely won. It came down to the last play. Obviously, the 15-yard penalty by Osai gives them a greater advantage with the field goal.
There were two big plays that were called back. Kansas City should have won by 3 scores. If you think about it, there were some questionable calls that kept the game close. It did. Yeah, because if there was a touchdown or two that were called back, and that so now that's a 17-point victory. I think from a standpoint, they were moving the ball well. Cincinnati was moving the ball well, but I never got the feeling initially, and I think I might have texted this to you. I was a little concerned that with the turnovers, Kansas City was only kicking field goals as opposed to they normally punch them in. Yeah. So that seemed like, okay, maybe Cincinnati does have a shot because they need to be cashing in, and they weren't.
And they couldn't. Well, I mean, and you got to remember, right? They were depleted offensively, at least on the outside. So, and they had no running game. Forget the running game. Neither team had a running game. So the running game was
wasn't
shot
nothing spectacular.
Yeah. So both teams were definitely shut down in the running game. So they were both one-dimensional. Like, to your point, they were only scoring field goals, Kansas City was. But again, right, they're depleted on the outside. So they weren't going to be this high-potent offensive machine that we normally see. Mm-hmm. And I agree with you on the penalties and so forth. Yes, that could make a difference. But to me, the game comes down to this. Why did Cincinnati not on that third down? You got to get help over there with Chris Jones is. You got to chip him. You don't let him go one-on-one with your right tackle. You got to get help over there. I mean, you just completed a 3rd and 16 right before that. And when they completed that, I'm like, uh-oh, here they go. This is going to be another upset. They done did it again. And so that play was huge. That was huge. So you knew that once Mahomes gets the ball back, that's why Chris Jones, after that sack, he was going bye-bye. In other words, this is over. My guy's got the ball in his hands. It's a wrap. Over. Y'all ain't going to see it no more. It's over. And obviously, ultimately, that's exactly what happened. But the reason why I say, Don, I think Cincinnati is still somewhat going to still be a thorn in the side of Kansas City is because they beat them 3 straight times. Kansas City finally gets one. And Kansas City admitted early in the week it's really not a rival, right? They've been beating us 3 times they beat us 3 games in a row. It's like the Knicks and the Nets. The Nets done one beat the Nets. The Nets beat the Knicks 11 times in a row, right? Or 9 times in a row. I mean, it's been crazy, right? So you really don't want, even Julius Randle comes out and says, it's not a rivalry, right? They've been kicking our tail for the last some odd years. So it's not really a rivalry. I think it's really more about the young quarterbacks, to your point, with Mahomes and Burrow, and these guys coming up together. It's almost like gives you that Brady, Peyton Manning feel, right? But the thing is this, though, D, them boys still came out to play. I think they backed it up in the sense where they didn't get blown out. They made the game very competitive, as we expected that they would. And I knew that they felt that they would. And Kansas City still knows they got their hands full with this team. Yeah, so I think, to your point, you're going to see a lot of good football, particularly coming out of that AFC with Josh and Herbert and Burrow and Mahomes. You got the best of the best, particularly in that AFC, and Lamar Jackson, if he happens to stay, in there as well. So I think what you're going to see is a situation where, again, Kansas City is going to have to find ways to keep that little gap between themselves and these other teams. I said it last week. Mahomes makes everybody else around him better. I don't care who is out there. Like you said earlier, it doesn't matter. They have a chance to win as long as he's out there quarterbacking, even if it is with a half a leg. He can still get the job done. He got the job done, and all he needs is another opportunity to get the ball. But kudos to the Bengals. Shout them out. I thought they played well. I thought it was Burrow didn't have his best game. He didn't play well at all, but yet they still could have won that game. But to me, it came down to one play. You got it. On that third down, Chris is coming. They already had 3 sacks in the first quarter. So, right. I mean, you got to understand, like, we got to put some pass pro on that side. Wherever he's at, we got to protect our quarterback on there. And that's another thing, right? What happens when Cincinnati gets in line? Like, you hope at some point before Joe Burrow finishes his career that they get this guy a line. They got to draft a line. And so if this guy ever gets a good line on him, just give him 2 to 3 good Pro Bowlers. Listen, it's a wrap. That team is going to be hard to beat. No question about it. Because them receivers are the troublemakers too. So
my question, and what I don't know contractually who has to stay, who has to go, but at some point they're going to lose players.
Who's this you talking about? Kansas
Cincinnati.
City or
Cincinnati. I mean, because T. Higgins is a number 1 receiver.
He is.
He is a number 1 receiver on any other team. Obviously, Jamar Chase is their number 1 receiver, and not getting a big payday, but I think they're going to give Joe Burrow an extension in the offseason. You got Jamar Chase, you got Boyd, who was injured. He was, he got injured. He was out of the game. But arguably, T. Higgins is a top receiver.
He's
a number 1, and
I love him.
Now, how soon is he going to test the market? Because will there be people that are willing to pay $20 million plus? Absolutely.
Yeah, absolutely. But you know what I say to that, D? Here's my thought on that. It all depends on the conversation that management. Because here's the thing. That's a very, very poor organization. The Bengals are one of the poorest teams. Cincinnati is poor. In fact, the owner came out and said, I gotta pay my quarterback. You know what I mean? Like he's already implying, like, man, I'm stressed because I don't know, because the ownership of the Bengals, their only source of income is the team. They don't have like many other owners, that are able to generate finances from other avenues and have a plethora of income coming in. You know what I'm saying? Unless you're Jerry Jones, who makes all his money from his team because he just knows how to market his team. So you got to have a conversation with Joe, and here's what you're gonna have to sell Joe. Joe, we're gonna pay you, but if you want to win a Super Bowl, you want to be Tom Brady, right? We're gonna need you to kind of work with us on these numbers so we can bring a T. Higgins back. So we can be able to sign Jamar at some point, right? Because he ain't gonna survive with that rookie contract for so long, right? By next year, he's gonna be up for. You can extend him at that point, right? After next year, you got obviously you're gonna have to get offensive linemen, right? We want to be able to get some guys free agency. We're gonna have to find a way. So you gotta work with
Joe
us.
Mixon. Do you
right? Joe Mixon is another one.
Do you want
right.
P. Ryan? You let him go and you just focus on Joe Mixon.
Right.
These are things. But I'll say this: shame on the owner if because that's always been the knock on Cincinnati, that they were super cheap, because that's why they've had good quarterbacks, right? But they have had good teams.
Yeah.
What's going back to Ocho Cinco. They had Carson Palmer. Yeah, so they've had good teams. What's his name? Hushman Zada or whatever.
Yeah.
They've had good teams. They've had good players, and they just did not get to that level. And a lot of it was because they were super cheap. That was the knock. But now you're saying that this is their only source. You still have a $1 billion asset that you can make money off of it, and success of a team. I think at this point you have to put all your chips on for the success of the team, because that will net, that will pay big dividends itself. So
it would. It definitely would, especially with the media and you marketing around Joe Burrow, who obviously has become like that Joe Namath kind of guy in a sense, where he's kind of taking that stardom. He's Joe Cool. He's got the cigars, all this stuff, right? So the thing is that you can kind of use that to your advantage. You can sell some jerseys. Like, they probably need to have a meeting with Jerry Jones, right? And Jerry can help them figure out how to market their team, for a fee, of course. He'll probably work. And
then, of course, just why not do a kind of a Mahomes type of deal? Give him a long-term contract. I mean, because let's face it, Mahomes is getting, I believe, $45 million a year. I think he did a 10-year, $450
million.
Yeah. So he's averaging probably $45 million, something along those lines. So if you think about his value, obviously he's taking a pay cut, and at some point they're probably going to restructure. But if he's done that to keep the skill players that keep his overall team successful, then that's the way he should go. Why not? Cincinnati has to think outside the box, and maybe Joe Burrow's willingness, because he has
to be willing.
His whole career is his window, right?
Right.
Because they asked him, where's his window to win a champion? My whole career is my window. And that's the right mindset. Right. You shouldn't feel like, oh yeah, my skills are going to start tapering off.
Correct.
As opposed to an Aaron Rodgers who is getting $59 million next year, fully guaranteed, but don't have no players around. You have some rookies that you can take the time to ingratiate and establish a rapport with, but you have to be willing to do that.
Correct.
And Aaron Rodgers, in a lot of ways, is stuck in his ways, and I don't think he really has shown that he wants to grow with these young receivers and kind of mentor them in a way that they can be surrounded and prolong his career if he's smart, right? Because there's talk that Green Bay is going to move on from him, but I don't see why. If he has no trade clause and he has $100 million still guaranteed, what team is going to take on that contract with
the Jets
star? But let me tell you, with a star who's already 38 or 39 and doesn't have a full commitment to football. That's the problem. Not his skills, not what he's able to do, but his commitment to football is low at this point. He seems like he has, and I think to a degree, he likes being a big fish in a small pond. New York's not going for that. Let me tell you, they'll take him.
That's true.
But New York he will get destroyed. He will retire early.
He would,
You can do that in Green Bay.
That's a good point.
People got cheese. What are they doing? They got barrels of cheese rolling down the street. It's okay. They're begging you, please don't leave us. Please, Hammer, don't hurt him.
Right.
But now you go to a big market. You think New York is going for that?
No.
Please.
No, you make a good point with that. So I didn't even think about that. You're right.
Yeah, that's all, as the young people say, all cap. All cap. That he's, first of all, who is $100 million in 2 years, he's fully guaranteed.
Right.
They're going to give him that for what? If a team is one player away from the Super Bowl, okay, perhaps. Maybe you want to take that shot. If you think, and looking at the construction of your team, if other players, hey, they're kind of on their last leg and this is our best shot, let's go all in. Yeah, that may make sense. But overall, you look at him being in the same kind of tier. Not exactly success-wise, but the same tier as Tom Brady. You see Tom Brady's, and whether he underachieves or not, or doesn't play well, his commitment to football, he's like, yo, kids, wife, see ya. I'm playing football.
Yeah, right.
So his commitment's there.
Right.
Everything is in shambles. People are selling houses. You know, Antonio Brown is posting pictures of your wife. He don't get, I'm playing football. You don't get that sense from Aaron Rodgers.
No.
It's, this week I'm gonna let my mustache grow. This week I'm gonna let my ponytail grow. He's not focused. So a team would be foolish to make that trade. Yeah, it would benefit because listen, the Packers, storied franchise, it's still a very small market team. It's a small
that's
market.
The same thing with
They've
Cincinnati.
Just been successful.
That's the thing.
Right.
It's a small market team. But here's the thing, right? I agree with you. Rodgers is not focused, and no one has that level of commitment the way Tom Brady has. But I think what people are going to get, they're going to buy into the goofiness is that with Rodgers is that with him, a non-committed Rodgers is better than what you got. Right? Yeah. He's going to win you games in a very competitive East, excuse me, right? Mm-hmm. You got Miami. You still got Josh Allen and the Bills, right? You got Mac Jones. Now they brought back O'Brien now as the OC. They're looking to kind of take now that whole offensive thing to the next level because Belichick made a mess of things over there. Finally,
Miami just got a good defensive
and they got a defensive coordinator,
Vic
right?
Fangio,
Vic Fangio is now there. They're DC. So the Jets, they're really just kind of missing. They got a stellar D. You got some wideouts. You got that young receiver. You're gonna have Reese Hall coming back. Yep. Right. There you go. Wilson, right. So
Elijah Moore. You got players.
You got weapons.
Players.
So they'll take and listen. And New York fans, and you hit it on the head, D. You right. They ain't gonna go for a lot of this, because Aaron is very temperamental and moody and all that stuff. Mm-hmm. But as long as he's winning games, they like, look, it is what it is. We good. We're gonna save our wrath for when we really need to put. Like, don't harass him now. Let him be Aaron. Just leave him alone. Don't bother him. Let's applaud him. Let's welcome him. Win us some game, Aaron. You got weapons around you. You got a good coach in Salah. Go ahead and do your thing. And they brought the OC, who also the floor. Yeah. So, that's which is speculating that he probably may go to the Jets because of
no. They have Hackett. They bought Hackett.
Right, that's the name. Right. Not LaFleur, Hackett. Yes, there you go, D.
LaFleur went to I forget where LaFleur went.
I can't remember now where he went.
But he went to the Rams, right?
Yes. Wait, did he go to the Rams?
No,
it was somebody today.
It was somebody that they're
the Rams got
familiar
somebody.
With.
Actually, I didn't even like that. I didn't like that pickup, that OC.
Yeah, they're all from the same kind of coaching tree because it's Kyle Shanahan.
Yeah, Mike LaFleur. LaFleur went to the Rams.
He did.
So he was the former. Yeah, that I didn't like that. Yeah, so he was the former OC for the Jets.
Friends hiring friends. That's what it boils down to.
Well, that's what happened in Dallas too with Mike McCarthy. He had a lot of friends, and he brought in that 2020 season all your guys from San Fran, Mike Nolan and Tom Sula and all them guys he brought in, and that was a complete disaster because he loved to bring in guys he likes and he knows. But that's where he got challenged to say, no, we want fresh meat here. That's how we was able to get in Dan Quinn and and let go a lot of these other guys who were kind of part of the Garrett regime. But, still. But to your point, just to get real back to your point about Green Bay, yeah, I think, listen, Rodgers, it may not be a bad thing. He's not committed like you said, but Rodgers is a guy, he's a cocky guy that relies on his gift, right? He just has the gift. Look, let's just be honest. Brady is committed and works hard because he's not that talented of a quarterback. He doesn't have the skill set like Peyton Manning had, and
his work ethic puts him over the top.
His work ethic is what puts him over the top. That's exactly what it is. So that's what
mentally he's there.
Yeah,
and he works the gift as much as possible. He maximizes what he's given.
There you go.
And he outworks people. And I was when you just brought up Tom Sula. Yeah. He looks like he could be like a deli owner. He probably could make a good sandwich. He could make when he was the coach of the Niners, I was like, why is this dude? At halftime, he's making boar's head, sandwiches.
He was, oh my God, he was the worst, man. Yeah,
he was terrible.
Mike Nolan was the worst. Those guys should never be back in the NFL on any level of any.
Somehow,
by the way, Jermaine Pratt, the linebacker who called out Osaya when going back into the locker room, and he did apologize. He said he wasn't being a good teammate at that time, so he did apologize.
That was probably backlash. People always, and granted, in the moment, your emotions are high. You don't always think logically, but you had to know that there was cameras around, right? You had to know that everybody is dealing with that disappointment. So your feelings are no more important. Your level of disappointment shouldn't be any greater than mine, because you guys did not lose on that one play.
No,
you didn't. That one play did not cause you the game, because the game was tied. The game was tied. So it wasn't like there was a series of mistakes that ultimately led to your defeat. That was just the final play.
Right.
That was the cherry on top, the icing on the cake.
Absolutely.
The bullet behind the proverbial ear. Those were the things that was what finished you ultimately.
Oh gosh.
But that wasn't the so I get it. Cool. He apologized, but I'm sure it was, from a standpoint of some backlash that he received.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, because it was caught on tape. And my thing is this. Yeah, go ahead. Well, go ahead. Finish your point. Go ahead.
No, I was getting ready to go on something else about your boy Tony Romo. He almost Tony Romo was this close from his contract being contract would have been voided on
finish. His career would have been
Nance would have been looking. Romo, what do you think about this? Off. He would have been off the air immediately.
No question. Immediately. He would have been after that play. He would have
been right back to the Cowboys organization.
Right. Oh, Jerry would have taken him back in.
Of course, he would have been quarterback.
We got room for that. We know how you really feel, Tony. Come on over here.
Star, right. You sure look good with that star.
God, that star you have with it.
Yeah.
But anyway, yeah, man. So you listen. We got 2 weeks in between, all right, and we'll be talking some football. We're gonna do obviously preview the games, but we're gonna get some NBA in there. We're gonna definitely talk about some good things.
Our teams are playing right now. I don't know what they're
playing right now. The Nets are playing the D League Lakers right now. So
Oh man, if LeBron is not able to play, I know he's on this quest. And maybe it was best for him, because he knew that Claxton was not going to allow him to add to that to get to his ultimate goal. Claxton has been he has been shutting people down, and he was like, you know what, I don't want to mess with Brooklyn. Brooklyn's serious defensively. Brooklyn is balling out, so let me just wait and pound out the Knicks, because the Knicks is let Julius Randle feels some type of way, and he's a little intimidated by me. Yeah. I can grandstand at Madison Square Garden, but he's 3-4 games. He's going to. I thought they were leading up that he was going to break the record at Madison Square Garden, but clearly that's not.
I think they were going to probably try to do that, because he's been on such a terror, and so with playing that way. But now they said, with the ankle issue, and then with AD now with his foot bothering him again, they're gonna sit him out and just
every play that ankle is always twisting and touching them.
Everything.
That ankle.
Listen, it, man, and he's such a baller. He's
great. He's a great player.
And I'll say this real quick, and I know we'll get ready to wrap up the show real quick. And we're gonna talk a lot of NBA coming, but we'll talk more about the Sixers, because to me, Joel Embiid is that kind of player too in my mind.
Oh, I don't listen.
So as great as they've been playing,
they barely beat us, and they had a full. Listen, they barely. Right. If you think about it, player for player, and no doubt about it, Joel Embiid is better than Claxton. But Claxton held him down.
Oh, he did.
He played him really well, and point for point, it was a close game.
Right.
It wasn't. I'm not worried about the 76ers. The Eagles, y'all may go on and win the Super Bowl. Y'all not winning both. It won't be title town.
No.
The 76ers are fraudulent.
It's going to be a close race, though. As far as I'm concerned, 1 through 8, I was looking at it like this. Everybody's in first place right now. if you're 1 through 8 to a degree, right? Because you're only but a few games out from here and there. When you look at the top 5 teams in the seeding, you're only 1 or 2 games apart. So it's kind of, I don't know if you ever get excited about where you're seated right now. It's only going to really matter when you get down to that final week of the season. And then that's when it's really going to matter, because it's such a tight race in the East. And I think that's what you're going to really see. And I don't know about Milwaukee unless they do something, but Chris Middleton hasn't been that. He hasn't been it. So I like the Nets, man. I have to say. I like the way y'all looking. I can't lie.
Yo,
get KD
I like
back.
it. Come on. See, come on
No,
back.
I mean, no, I can give credit where credit is due. It's good. I ain't got no dog in that fight. Y'all looking good. And Jacques Vaughn, to me, in my opinion, I mean, I have to look more closely at the other teams and coaches. But I mean, he's definitely got to be a coach of the year candidate, in my opinion.
Yeah, he's played well. He's played.
You got to extend him too.
Oh yeah, I think that should go without saying. And I wasn't initially when my eyes were set to Ime. I was like, come on, man. Yeah. Because I know ultimately they embody the same thing. Now I already saw what Ime, who he was, right? I'm not talking about the off the
right,
court.
Yeah.
I know what he was as far as challenging the superstars and not being intimidated because they're a superstar.
No,
like obviously Steve Nash was. Although he was an MVP, but he still felt intimidated to challenge them. I know Ime wasn't. And Jacques Vaughn, he is challenging them to play better, to be better, to play as a team. And the proof is in the pudding. It is showing on the court that they're buying into it. And let me just be clear with this. Because there was talk that Kyrie wasn't going to get that max deal.
Right.
Look at me. He's getting that max deal.
Oh my God.
You don't think he's going to get a max deal?
We were doing so well. Oh I mean, just had crazy.
So I just want to, he's going to get a max deal.
From whom?
Perhaps the Nets, but there's going to be a litany of teams that will line up to give him a max deal.
Kyrie will never, in his living days as an NBA player, ever see a max deal. I don't care. As far as everybody's concerned, and I don't want to put it this way, but right now they're looking at Kyrie as a guy that's he's in the eyes of some, he's well behaved right now, and that's how they're gonna see him.
And that may be the case.
And he's well behaved, and he's not causing any drama. There's no way. How many players
have displayed dysfunction and were able to do a 180 or at least compartmentalize that aspect of them to focus on the matter at hand, which is playing ball? You think that Kyrie is playing possum, that he has all these things bubbling under the surface, and as soon as I sign the deal, then all of a sudden I'm gonna wear a kufi at the game? I mean, like, no.
I kind of think so.
No,
I mean,
he is who he is.
We wouldn't have a problem with that. He is who he is.
He is who he is, and I don't think he's compromising that. But I do think that his play, this is results driven. That the league is about results, and he is playing at a high level. He is playing himself into a max contract. He's playing himself into a max contract.
Into what I think would be probably at the most a 2-year with a player option in the second year. That's about it. They're not. I don't care if Kyrie.
Okay, so those 2 years it's going to be $50 million a year. He's going to get 2 years, $50 million. He's going to whatever that 220 max is. He's going to get every dime of that. He's going to get every dime.
Not only are you dealing with potentially just being a distraction, but Kyrie is injury prone too. So, I mean, you're going to have to factor all of that stuff in when you get ready to re-sign him. And there's no way. Now, they're going to offer him a contract,
both of your stars
but he ain't
are
getting
ice
no
baths.
max.
You're talking about injury prone as both of your stars and ice baths.
No, they are. No, but I'm saying.
Okay, so what are we talking about?
Just like AD. AD would never see a max deal only because of his injury history. But when you factor in Kyrie injury and his distraction, is the potential to be a distraction.
So you really don't think Anthony Davis, somebody is going to be willing to pay him max money again? You really think that? Teams have money to burn. As money to burn, they got money to burn. They will figure out.
So. No,
Did
I
Joe
don't think so.
Johnson
Because you know why?
at 55 years old get a $100 million contract?
Which was a bad contract. That was a dumb
But
contract.
the point is, if it's not about if it's a good or bad contract. It's if a team is willing to pay the money. If you're saying Anthony Davis has seen the last max contract of his career, is what you're saying?
So. Yeah, I do.
Absolutely not.
So. I think
Absolutely not.
I don't think he's going to get another max deal because again, his injury. He was just playing. Just what? 5 minutes ago.
When the show started, he was playing.
Right, he was playing.
And then the ankle touched all the way.
You're not investing that. Not in strapping up your team with a salary cap, with luxury tax, and all these other things, and you're going to have to put players around him too. There's no way. There's no way. They're not going to. There's no way he'll ever get one only because of his
out
injury.
The wazoo.
He'll get money, but he's not going to get a max deal. No one's going to give him a max deal. No.
You don't think he'll get that even on a bum team? I didn't say he was going to get that on a contender.
That's the last team that will pay him that almost. They won't. Because you're talking about a bum team is going to have to rebuild around a guy who's not even going to be there to rebuild around because he's going to be hurt. Like, and he's only going to get more injured as his career progresses. He's getting older, so he's not going to be more healthier. So that's it. No, there's no way you give Anthony Davis a max deal. And Kyrie, definitely not a max deal. You can't trust him. You can't. Plus, he's injured. Kyrie has not played a full season in the last 5 to 6 years. He's missed about 2 NBA seasons in total when you combine all of the injuries over the last 5 years or so. He's no way.
So let me ask you a question, just hypothetically speaking. The Nets go on to win the NBA championship. Yeah. They don't extend Kyrie. They don't give Kyrie a max deal.
Not a max deal. No, still won't do it. I still won't do it. No,
okay. No. And no other team looking on. If Kyrie becomes an unrestricted free agent, no team is going to give him a max deal.
No team definitely won't. No way. Because you got nobody. Because who can be able to even corral Kyrie? Nobody can do it. The only player that was ever able to do that was LeBron. No one is able to bring him in. And so if he doesn't have a KD, who's not really that type of guy to really, be responsible for guys like that. I mean, he loves Kyrie. He's a good friend of his. Obviously, he supports him. He defends him, which he's done to the end, even in Kyrie's just, some of the ill-advised things that he's done. I'm not talking about this last issue, but some of the other stuff prior to, or maybe just certain things he was outspoken by. KD has stuck by his side. You're not going to get nobody that's going to do it like that. And again, my whole thing is with Kyrie is that winning a championship does not lock him in. Kyrie is not locked in. He's much like what you just talked about with he's another Aaron Rodgers. Talented. I don't need practice. Who has to practice? Ain't no practice. He don't need. Kyrie is an artist in motion. The boy is straight legit. There's no better baller out there than Kyrie Irving. Like Aaron Rodgers is with a football. Aaron can throw the ball 70 yards in his sleep. Kyrie could dance on everybody with no eyes. It doesn't matter. But he's not. He loves his new eyes. Love that new dribble. It don't matter. Right. But he's not committed. He can win another chip. He's already a champion. So it's not really anything that's going to be like, okay, now I feel more committed. That don't mean Kyrie's not interested. Look, money, basketball, that stuff does not move him like that. So there's clearly something else that's motivating him, what I believe, that's got him really kind of staying below the radar, playing some outstanding basketball, even in the absence of KD. He's balling. There's no question about it. I think he'll get a deal, but not a max. They're going to offer him a 2-year contract with a player option on the second. And if he doesn't take it, then that's it.
Is that money going to equal? Ultimately is what? Like, I mean, do you think, and this is football and not basketball, but do you think Kirk Cousins cares that he didn't get a quote-unquote max deal when he ultimately got franchise tagged to exceed what he would have gotten?
Exactly.
Kyrie is going to get every bit of $220 million, whether they give it to him in day-by-day increments. If each hour we're going to give you $5,000. Listen, he's going to get $220 million.
Okay, answer me this question then. If Kyrie does something that creates a major distraction between now and the end of the season, all right? Do you think they'll sign to a max deal if he does something?
First thing, I don't think he will. I think
but if he does, let's just say
if
he but I'm saying this is part of the questioning so we can understand some of the reasoning here. If Kyrie we don't want him to. I don't think he will either. I just don't think they're going to give him a max contract. But let me kind of challenge your point a little bit.
Okay.
What if he happens to do something that brings distraction and an unwarranted or unwanted attention to the Nets organization, and it gets blown up all over like his last episode was again, and we both agree that what he did, we didn't think it was anything wrong. We understand there's a lot of other stuff tied to that that's unfair to Kyrie. But I'm saying, but no matter what it is, if something else is anonymous and it brings negative, pessimistic attention to this team in some way, shape, or form by way of distracting them, do you think the Nets will sign him to a max deal?
Let me just counter you with a question. Do they go on to win the championship?
Yes, they still go on to win the championship. Okay. I'll give you that. You can
220. 220. Do you understand what 220 is?
Okay, but now that you modified my question,
that's a different outlet.
Let's pull. Okay, but let's pull the championship equation. Let's pull the championship piece out of the equation. Y'all go to say the conference finals, or let's just get to conference finals, or even to the finals, but y'all lose. But Kyrie, between now and that time, brought distraction to the team that was not good, negative. Nets had to once again navigate through it all, find a way to make it work, keep the guys focused, trying to still play good basketball, but yet all of this attention again, Kyrie. Do you think that the Nets, they don't win the championship, but they get to the conference finals as probably is expected if they stay the way they are, right? But Kyrie brings a distraction. Do you think the ownership of the Nets is going to sign him to a max deal if he has one more distraction, similar to the height and visibility of the last one?
Two counters on that. No, because it's not black and white.
Why is it not black and white?
So how well does he play? How well does he play down the stretch?
Kyrie plays well all the time, so we don't need to go into that. Kyrie is never not playing well. So we don't even have to enter that in. We know that he's going to ball regardless. So don't even bring that in. My question is yes or no. If he distracts them one more time to the level of what he did before and in prior times, right, do you think they'll sign him to a max deal?
It depends who he offends.
Oh, my God.
It does. If Kyrie went on there are groups of people that you can offend, no problem. It's accepted. It's okay. Agree. And there are groups that you cannot offend.
Right.
So yes, that does matter. In context, that does matter.
Okay.
So it depends who he offends. It depends how he plays. And I will say this, I feel confident in this. Kyrie is going to be on the Nets as long as Kevin Durant is on the Nets. That's why I'm saying that they are a package deal.
I don't believe so.
I think that
once was the case, but the ownership after what happened this last time, I don't because of who he offended.
So be willing to lose both of them. From the Nets standpoint, that be willing to lose both of them.
Well, they would have to get traded. I mean, that's the only way he can get out of the Nets, unless he just forces
that's not the only way.
Right? I mean, he's still under contract. He can't go nowhere.
He can, but he can also say, you know what? My pinky toe hurts. Listen. He can
pull a James Harden.
He can pull a James Harden and sick. Yo, I'm on sick call. Chest. My chest. I feel a little phlegm. He will get out of there, and I think if the team, it depends on how they win and how they lose.
But if the fact that you have to put and here's the whole premise behind my question. You say it depends on who he offends, when he offends him, how he offends him. The fact that you have to even say that.
No. I'm basing it off the Nets. I'm basing it off the
off the net. You talking about the ownership of the Nets.
Kyrie is going to get a max deal regardless. I'm hoping it's with the Nets. I'm telling you that there is a team of bottom feeder.
If he don't get it with the Nets, he ain't getting it with nobody. I'm telling you, nobody in the league is, because if they would, as much as you had Kevin Durant, you got Jacques Vaughn now. Again, we're all going on the speculation perhaps, let's just say. These are all hypotheticals. If he was to mess up again. But I don't care if he doesn't mess up again. They're still not taking that chance on him. They will offer him a contract, but they're not. Now, the people that have to have buy-in in that, Jacques Vaughn, who they're going to extend, as we know, he would have to have buy-in on that. Kevin Durant, obviously, have buy-in.
Who has 3 more years on his contract, but okay.
They all would have to say, yes, we believe that we can work with him, blah, blah, blah. But I still, even with that level of buy-in or influence that they carry, because I don't think KD carries that level of influence or ownership, not anymore, not like he used to. I don't think so, because you haven't won anything. Y'all haven't done anything. Yes, injuries have derailed any level of success that people have thought you guys would have had. But at the end of the day, you got to win something to have some cachet. All in honesty, KD, you're a bus rider, okay?
So that's why,
it don't matter.
My goodness.
He's a bus rider. He's a bus rider. It don't matter. Like Shaq called him out the other day. Told me he's a bus rider.
We were doing well. We should have ended this show 10 minutes ago.
You know what?
Listen,
we're gonna pick it up again on Friday.
You know what? We're going to talk about this, and we're going to talk more NBA.
Yeah.
We'll sprinkle in some NFL into the Super Bowl, but we're going to talk basketball because right now I think the Lakers are getting their skulls.
No, we're only down by 3. We're only down. It's tied up. In fact, it's 68. It's all 68 going through the fourth quarter. So this is the perfect time to end this broadcast. So we
will have another broadcast in 15 minutes. We'll do a conclusion broadcast,
and we'll see if Kyrie gets his max deal by the end of the fourth quarter. And they'll say you couldn't beat the Lakers out LeBron and AD. Ain't no way we're gonna give you a max deal.
Unbelievable. But I told you it was going to be a close game. I did not say it was going to be closer.
It was going to be a close game. You said tonight was going to be a close game? Is that what you said?
I did say.
Through what?
I don't know.
Through conspiracy lenses or just in general?
Of course.
Yeah. Conspiracy lenses.
Yeah, of course. It's going to be. It was a 9-point spread. It wasn't going to. I don't care. Okay. Listen. Thank you for joining us. We have gone beyond the time that we want, but we're going to talk more NBA, more NFL, more culture. We're going to see if what Tony Romo has to say about what he almost said and what we know he was thinking, what he was about to say.
Right.
If you hadn't had an opportunity to see what we're talking about, go to Twitter. And it's probably all over the place about, Tony Romo. But in any case, once again, please like, share, subscribe to our Facebook and YouTube page. Shout out to Infinite Audio for the music. Just easy to talk over. It flows. It's so. I'm into grooves. One of us is into. They want beats that groove. We want groove. When we're selecting the music for each show, I want a groove. Listen, what kind? This is a family show. What is this groove? It's all this groove. What are we talking about here? Shout out to Infinite Audio for the music. Shout out to Kingdom Creative.
Kingdom Creatives
for the production.
Yes.
Fantastic job. We couldn't do it without you. We appreciate you guys. We thank you. Thank you for, enduring this kind of therapeutic session. And I feel better. I feel even better. I feel lifted.
That's good.
I feel encouraged. Yeah. We had some good laughs. Please like, share, subscribe. Share. Leave comments. I like the feedback we've been given. We've been putting out some reels and shorts about how we feel throughout the week leading up to the big games. Now both of our teams are out. We're bystanders. We're just not that we didn't always give objective takes, but now we can really sit back. No extra emotion involved.
Right. No emotions involved. Right.
We're just calling it like we see it. We don't. There's no back door in the back of our mind. Fandom kind of swaying our
very
takes.
Very unbiased.
But we appreciate it, Rod. Thanks for joining.
Always.
Until next time, everyone. Thank you. Peace.